What's up, folks? I am back with another video, and as you can see, the lighting is a little bit better. So, shout out to me for getting the lighting together. Wearing glasses really impacts how it like shows up and like the glare and stuff. So I did my best to get the lighting a little bit better. But welcome back to another episode of the G Spot. I am G's journalist, and this is my show showcasing whatever the fuck I want. So in this episode, we're going to talk about trauma in and love. So trauma in love and trauma and love. So in and if y'all can differentiate with the accent. But today I just want to open up with welcome back. How y'all doing? I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be in front of the camera again, getting more comfortable. My fucking hands are sweating. I wanted to sort of open this with where am I mentally? And mentally, I feel good about creating. I feel good about, getting back into that bag, I would say, because every day I genuinely feel different. And I don't know if this is just like a thing or anybody else experiences that. And I know y'all thinking this setup is a little different, and I didn't like preface that, but we're gonna get into it a little bit later. But shout out to the setup. It's just a black table. I would say like the last couple weeks since I like shot this have been super up and down. I talked to my therapist about a number of things, and genuinely I'm in a space of I just want to create, and I want to have people in my life that show up for me in ways that are consistent, as well as taking that extra mile, if you will, because I'm a person that will go the extra mile for my friends or whomever it is, and I want that same shit back. Like I want that back. I want that reciprocated. And so right now I'm in that phase of mentally I'm okay. However, every day is different, and I wanted to like recap a couple things. So some things that I did as I was going through this period of feeling different every day was, for one, I think it was last weekend, it was GSU's homecoming. And so I am a Panther alum. I got my master's from GSU. And I watched the homecoming game. We fucking lost. I was going to go. However, I felt kind of like a loner, if you will, because I wanted to go to the game, but I didn't want to go by myself. Because like I'll go places by myself, but going to a sporting event, it just don't seem like something you would do by yourself. Granted, I have done it, and I think that's why I'm like, nah, I really wouldn't do that myself. Because I remember going to a basketball game by myself for my birthday, and it was fun. However, it's like one of those environments where it's like, yeah, I need my niggas. I need somebody with me for this one. But I watched the game with some friends. Like we streamed it on ESPN Plus. It was cool. This ain't no fucking sponsorship or nothing. I'm just telling you, like, it was only available on ESPN Plus, which is odd. But anyway, I watched that. GSU lost, and then I had went skating. I went to Cascade for the first time. How long I've been here? 2.5 years. I've been here for 2.5 years, and it's the first time I have been skating at Cascade. Granted, it was in the movie, ATL, and I haven't, like, I wanted to go, but in my head it was like, this is like a thing you do with people. And again, another one of those instances where you just need to kind of do it yourself to get a feel, and honestly, I'll go skating by myself again, because that was a vibe. It was just a matter of, hey, it's just like the movie, like, get your ass out the way when you see them folk dancing and all that shit, bro. Like, get out the way, because they will run your ass over, okay? Because my ass almost fell. But yeah, and then like it was fun because like the music was good. It wasn't an environment where it is like just like the movie where it's like, oh, number one rule, don't fall. But my thing was, it was more so an environment of people was like, if you did fall, they'll help you up, or if you were in the way, granted they'll run your ass over, but they'll be sweet about it. Like, get out of the way now. Like they'll grab you like, move, bitch. And so for me, it was just kind of interesting being in that space, but I'll do it again for sure. And then I would say like over that time, I was taking some time off of work because I needed some time off, y'all. Like I really needed time to myself. I needed time to do things. You know, I did my first episode of the G Spot, and that was an interesting sort of feel, being able to just talk about my feelings, because like I'm noticing that you can't be vulnerable with a lot of people because they'll think you're crazy. Like you think you're venting, or you think you just have this comfortable relationship with somebody and you can get whatever it is off your chest. But in reality, in the back of their mind, they're like, this bitch needs help. And I'm just like, well, damn, my bad. My bad. Thought I could talk to you, but I can't. So let me go. And what's crazy is like you want those type of people in your life where it's like, okay, this is something that I want to cultivate, whether that's like a romantic thing or a friendship. It's like, I feel safe with you. I want you to be a part of my life. However, again, people do not always have your best intentions at heart. Or is that the saying? Yeah, your best interest, not intentions, your best interest, but y'all know what I meant. On top of all of that, I would say, like, to recap my last couple weeks, I wrote my first, like, not say my first opinionated blog piece, but like it's my first in a while. And so I wrote a blog piece about like invisible standards and the different things that me as a Black woman and other Black women, not all of them, but some, may deal with. And so I just spoke about my experience, and that's where today's episode comes from. So that's been my last 2 weeks, y'all. It's been up and down for sure. And then I was supposed to go out last weekend, but it didn't work. But that's neither here nor there. But that's been my last 2 weeks. I also got my nails done. I'll show y'all a clip of that. Got my hair did, got my lashes did, because Thanksgiving is around the corner. I don't know when this video is going to drop, but the reason I got all my shit done is because Thanksgiving coming up and all that, you know, got to be fly and stuff. But let's transition into today's episode. Again, all of that being said, this is where today's episode came from, is pretty much me sort of reflecting on the trauma while in love with my ex, my former relationship, as well as like the trauma and love and like how that works or whatever. I'm not 100%, like I'm not an expert. I'm just telling y'all my experience and what I learned. This is more of a reflection because, again, I broke up with my ex around Christmas last year. Yeah, around Christmas last year. So this is sort of just reflecting on different things and how I've changed and how I view it now, and, you know, just looking back and seeing what I've learned from this experience. So as promised, I did create a timeline for y'all on my iPad here, and we're going to get into it. Also, to include a part of this, you know, episode, I'm going to be trying to upcycle a pair of jeans into a skirt, like a denim skirt. So I have these black pair of denim jeans here that I will be trying to try my hand at making it into like a long denim skirt, because I want to wear that for Thanksgiving. So we're going to try to do that as I talk about different things that I was going through. So as I'm going into today's topic, again, I'm reflecting on my last relationship and how I've grown. And let's just start from the beginning. So in 2021, I was in college. I believe I had just turned 21, or I may not have been 21 just yet. But I remember being involved in North Carolina's hip hop, like underground hip hop scene, as far as, you know, the city of Fayetteville. Because I went to Fayetteville State and HBCU, Fayetteville, North Carolina. I don't think that's nothing too crazy to share. I love my HBCU, love Fayetteville, down, love y'all down, for sure. Gonna come visit at some point. I have some fabric fusion stuff here. This is for, cause I don't have a sewing kit yet. I'm going to teach myself how to sew, but this is like an intro to that. And then I also have liquid stitch here, and then I have a seam ripper in case I need that. So we're gonna have these items here. by our side just in case we need them. And then good old pair of scissors. And so pretty much like what happened was I was involved in the music scene in North Carolina. Ooh, these linty. And I met this guy. We just gonna call him Guy. I met this guy that was a rapper, a part of that scene, and you know, we met through a mutual. We did like a photo shoot type of thing. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was some sort of creative project. We met, and all I remember based off of that interaction was he liked me and his friend liked me, but apparently he cock blocked his friend so he could talk to me. And you know, that's not my problem. You gotta take that up with bro or whatever. So he cock blocked his bro to talk to me and all that type of stuff. So I didn't know this necessarily, and I wasn't like pressed about it, but yeah. And so I'm talking to his friend because I didn't know his friend liked me until like after the fact. But I'm talking to his friend, and well, this is Guy that we're talking about. I'm talking to Guy, and over time, like I would say over like a few months, because I was talking to this other dude, but he wasn't being consistent. So I just was like, I'm gonna let that go, you know. We met and we started talking, started to get to know each other. I was involved in, you know, the hip hop scene, doing what I do with media, like interviews and PR type vibe. Like that's really what I was on, as well as like being in school for this to be a reporter, journalist, because that's what I do now. And so we were getting to know each other. We were talking, and I would say like there was some things that I ignored in the beginning, but that I didn't know to like not ignore because like I just wasn't experienced a whole bunch with dating and all that type of stuff. So I'm still figuring that out even now. When I first met Guy, he had his own apartment, he had his own place similar to me. And mind you, like I was in college at the time, so it was nice to meet somebody that was kind of on the same level as I was. But that was like my very first true like introduction to him as far as like who he was and what he was about. But then later, like as we started talking, come to find out he wasn't living in his own place anymore. He was living with his parents again, which I understand why people live with their parents. Cost of living is high. I get it. However, that's just not my forte personally. Like it has nothing to do with me. It's just a matter of like, if you living with your parents to get on your feet, cool. But if you living with your parents just because you don't have any ambition, that's another conversation. You know what I mean? As we were getting to know each other and all that type of stuff, and we're, you know, thinking about getting into a relationship and all that, there was things that I shouldn't have ignored, like how he kind of like moved himself into my place because he was living with his mama and them, and I shouldn't have allowed that. Again, I didn't know. I just was like, I'm young, I'm 21, I don't know what's going on, and I want this relationship to work. And so I think like that was a red flag that I ignored but didn't know not to ignore. Also, I was 21 and he was like 28 or something like that. He was closer to 30 than I was, let's just say that. So in 2021, we get together on my birthday. That's what I remember. I remember us getting together on my birthday. So we got together on my birthday. The first 6 months was pretty okay. However, there was not like a lot of like things going on because it was like summertime. I was out of school, yada yada. You know, things were different, but at the same time, I was going into like the end of, I think, junior year. Yeah, the end of my junior year of college, and I was going into my senior year. So that fall semester, I'm prepping to like, you know, graduate, get a job, yada yada, whoop whoop. You know, I'm trying to get the fuck because it's about that time. You feel me? So first 6 months was cool. And then I would say the first sort of like shift, you know, on top of like him sort of moving in with me, you know, was going into the new year. So 2022. He wanted to be a rapper and all that. So I'm trying to support in any way I can because, like, I, support the arts. I care about the artists in Fayetteville and whatnot. So I do my part as a, supportive girlfriend to help bro out. Like, okay, like, this is what I know I can do, da 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 da, as far as like the whole music thing and this, that, and the third. And so I'm like really like getting in my bag to help bro. Like, you say you want to be a rapper, okay. let's do it, right? And I think that was where I messed up because I was too adamant about helping this man when he didn't really want to help himself. It's not a thing I don't think he wanted to help himself. It's just a matter of I was being too helpful. That was the thing. That was the issue. Like, I didn't know I was being too helpful until, like, again, we having this conversation, we reflecting back, and I was being too helpful. I was a helpful ass bitch. And so he wanted to do this tour going into 2022, right? And I was like, okay, independent tour, let's do it. How can I help? Like, I'm really being that girl, like that girlfriend. Like, how can I help? Shouldn't have been doing that because, again, like, I'm trying to graduate college. I'm trying to work on my career. I'm trying to get right. Like, I'm trying to get to the point where I'm at right now, pretty much. I'm like trying to get in that type of headspace of let me fucking work on my career, let me finish school, let me get right. But instead, I'm trying to do all of that at once. I'm trying to do all of that. Like, I'm trying to finish school. I'm trying to help this man with his rap career. I'm trying to I'm trying to do everything. I'm trying to be Superwoman when I shouldn't have been. I should have just been chilling, trying to finish school and do what I needed to do instead of trying to, be in a relationship and all that. Helping him with this tour, trying to get everything together at the end of 2022 as we go into at the end of 2021 as we go into 2022. And I would say January 2022, that's when we did the tour. And there was some shifts happening. Like, that was like the major shift. Like, me being so helpful with this tour. And we do the tour. Mind you, on the tour, it wasn't like the best. As I'm getting ready to graduate and all that stuff, some hardship fell on us and whatnot. And he had lost his job or something like that. And it just was hard. And again, another red flag is just being a little too supportive. My role in it, I was not aware of certain things. Like, I was not aware of the fact that I was being used. I was not aware until later on, like, as you gain more knowledge, obviously. But 2022, like, it's almost time for graduation. Mind you, like, I'm ready to, like, get started with my career. And I start talking about moving to Atlanta. So I'm making preparations to go to Atlanta and, leave and get right so I can become a journalist like I said I would. When it came to like my ambitions and goals and stuff like that, I was more driven than he was. Like, when it came to having those conversations about moving to Atlanta and doing all those things, he did not, I don't want to say he didn't want to be involved in the process, but he made it clear that it was not like his number one focus, which was fine. It was just a thing of like, I was so blind to a number of things that I was like, well, we can make it work. We can da 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 da. We can do this. We can do that. Like, I should not have been so helpful with this particular person because it was not reciprocated. So as I'm like getting ready to, move and stuff, I finally get word back that I got the job down here and all that. Start looking for apartments, start, really diving into this process of moving to another state. And he just kind of was standoffish, was a lot, like, it was just a lot. I asked him to like be more involved and he's like, oh, it's fine. Like, I know you'll look, pick the best thing. In my mind, like, again, in the space of, okay, well, I'll do it. I really want you to be a part of it. Not knowing that, again, he just kind of wanted to be taken care of in those moments. So it was a thing of, oh, I'm not going to worry about it because I know she got me. I'm not going to involve myself because I know she got me. Instead of it being like an effort on both of our ends to make not only the relationship work, but moving to another state as seamless as possible. As we get further into 2022, like, I graduate from undergrad. I'm doing all the things. I'm hoping to, you know, get started in my career. And I do, because like as soon as I graduated, I had to move to Atlanta because I got the job and they expected me to start by a certain time. So in that, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna just stay back for a few and stack my money up." And that was fine. Like, I agreed. However, it was a thing of like us being kind of long distance, and I was not accustomed to that. I did feel lonely, and I did talk to him about it. However, he made a decision based off like me saying I was lonely and all that, which later kind of backfired because he tried to blame me for things not happening and all that type of stuff. And I just was like, okay. There was moments of me feeling lonely and I'm venting to him, and he took that as like me saying like, come down to Atlanta without a plan. He thought my emotionalness was reason enough to move without really following through on the things he said he was trying to do. Granted, like, maybe I was wrong for being so vulnerable and whatever, but I just thought that in that moment, saying that I miss you didn't like necessarily mean that you need to uproot when you don't even have true, intentions of being as successful as you could be. Like, that's the best way I can put it. The things that I'm looking back on, some of that trauma that came up, I would say, was like feeling as if I was wrong to have those emotions, because later it was a thing of, well, you were so emotional, I felt like I had to come, da 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 da. And I'm just like, we are grown. Like, no matter how much I say I miss you, I don't think that should outweigh the fact that you didn't have a plan. But it was sort of like flipped on me later. So being vulnerable was flipped on me, and I think that contributed to some level of like the space not feeling safe, or me not wanting to be vulnerable, because it's like, well, this might be used against me later. Like, just being real. With that in mind, it's like, well, I'm not finna like say, I'm not finna like not speak up about how I feel. At least it is a big thing now. However, in that relationship, kind of learned to not speak up, but later I, continued to speak up and voice what I felt. And so as he came down to Atlanta, not really having a plan based off like how emotional I was, I kind of dealt with the repercussions of that. When he came down here, he did make attempts to get a job. However, I was supporting us because he didn't take the extra mile to like fill out applications and do all the things, prior to moving. When you move to another state, it's probably good to like fill out applications and all that type of stuff prior to actually moving, so you can have something a little more solidified. Again, like, some of the things that I think I just missed or was naive to was like the fact that I was kind of being used, and sort of this idea of struggle love, because like he did attempt to get a job. I'm not going to sit here and say he didn't work, but it was just things within that I genuinely think that could have been done better. Like, if you're not being proactive at work to keep the job, what do you want me to do? And all that. And so he ends up getting fired after only keeping the job for like 2 months or something like that. And so in all of that, though, I'm like the breadwinner, I'm maintaining the household, and I, was doing it because obviously I wanted to. Like, I wanted to make sure we both had a roof over our head, and I wanted to make sure that we both were good. However, I think like looking back, I was gaining a sense of like resentment, because I felt like I was becoming like a parent, because like I'm telling him things as far as like, you need to be more proactive at work, you need to make sure like you're doing the best you can, things like you feel like your mama would tell you. Things that you're telling me could be easily resolved if you were being more proactive. Like, I'm taking in what he's telling me, and I'm responding in this way. However, the action wasn't there. And granted, like, one of the things that my ex did tell me was like, my patience. Like, I wasn't patient enough. However, I beg to differ because we were together for 2.5 years. So I'm like, how patient do you want me to be? So I'm maintaining the household. I'm the breadwinner at the time. And so as 2022 continued, like, he lost a job. So again, like, a level of resentment was like coming in on my part. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say like I didn't feel no type of way. Like, of course I'm going to feel some type of way. I'm doing everything and you're doing nothing. So I think within that, some of the things that bothered me was the space didn't feel safe to communicate. Like, I guess this growing resentment, and maybe I wasn't the best at communicating these things because, like, I think I had just like found a therapist consistently to sort of help me through a lot of stuff. And so I was really doing my best on a mental note to communicate and try my hardest to be there for somebody when they were not necessarily there for me, as far as like an emotional sense, because I just think back into certain things where if I was having an emotional day or something was going on mentally, I've already expressed how I would like to be cared for, and you're not doing it. So what do you want me to do? Or it was a situation where something as minimal as just needing a shoulder massage would be met with, well, what about me? And I'm like, personally, and like, hey, listen, y'all, please, hear me out. But personally, if I'm asking you for a shoulder rub and you ain't doing shit else in the house, like, you're not working, you ain't paying no bills, you ain't doing that, why the fuck is you asking me, well, what about me? You've been resting all day. But anyway, please. Please. And it did have an impact on me. I feel like it would have an impact on anyone if your significant other loses their job and you become the sole, person with a job. In that, there came a lot of other things that bothered me, like how the intimacy was starting to disappear because he did not feel, there was like this tie to like having a job and like ego. He didn't feel manly. And this could be like, again, like some assumption, but I was in it. So I'm just reflecting back. So it's like he didn't feel as manly or as, I don't know, as productive as he could have been. Like, I don't know the true headspace other than like some of the things he told me. And so it was just like he didn't feel up to par, which is understandable. However, like, I was trying to be there in those moments to help, but because of his feelings of, feeling like, oh, I'm subpar, I'm not meeting the mark, it impacted how he showed up in the relationship. Like, not being emotionally available, not meeting the standards anymore. We're not as close anymore. And there's even moments where this man didn't even want to touch me or look at me. And that has an impact on me mentally because, like, I'm trying to be close to you. I'm trying to, be lovey-dovey sometimes and all that. Only for you to be like, yeah, nah. And I'm just like, okay, what did I do? But I didn't do anything. It's just a matter of emotionally wasn't feeling up to par. And I get that. Like, I understand that. However, it did have some impact on how we were as a couple. Moving forward, like, once he did get a job at the end of 2022, started working. However, there was like some things going on that started to tap into like that women's intuition, like something's going on, right? And so as we leave out of 2022 and start to go into 2023, there was sort of this another sort of major shift where it was like, something's not right. And so the something that wasn't right was this man was cheating on me in multiple ways. The more classic way happened later in 2023. I can't remember exactly how I found out, but I know that there was one point I went through his phone. I tried to take people for, where they at, take them for their word. If you lie to me, it'll eventually come out. And eventually it did come out, because I'll have dreams about this shit. Like, the intuition be intuition and okay. So it was really a thing of like, I really felt the need to do it, and so I did it. I really felt something was telling me, in the words of, what's my boy, Lavelle, I think his name, Lavelle Dante, check that phone. I had to check that phone, goddamn, I had to check it. But check the phone, and I think when I first, checked it, like that first time, I think it was, I seen that bro was like obviously addicted to porn, because that's all the Twitter feed low-key was. Anyway, porn and sports. I don't understand. But in that, I seen that he was like messaging girls and all that. And I'm like, okay, like, granted, like, the girls, they doing what they do. They getting their money off of niggas like him, obviously. And so I was just like, okay, let's not do that, because that's obviously kind of embarrassing, because it's like, you got a whole girlfriend, and like, this is a public platform, people can see who you follow. Like, if you're gonna be addicted to porn, at least not have it on public display for people to see, But 2023 comes in, we start getting into like the trust kind of dying out because of lies. Like, as he gets his job and stuff like that, the shift happens, I go through the phone, and so now I'm sort of like kind of on alert about certain things. And mind you, he starts like lying about money, and that's kind of like interesting. I found out that he was lying about money by way of, again, getting that sort of female intuition to check the accounts. But this time when I checked his account, it wasn't his phone, it was like his email or something. And so with him being like an artist and stuff like that, they, use email to send the beats and all that good stuff back and forth, which is cool, it's fine. I knew I needed to start creating certain boundaries, because like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, something not right. So I need to just see. So I'm creating boundaries where I'm not as helpful anymore, just to see what's happening here. Like, I'm not overextending anymore. I'm not doing all the extra shit no more. I'm just kind of like, I want to see how you are responsible. I want to see if you are responsible, because it just seemed like you done lost your way. Personally, I started to sort of like step back, because I knew he was lying about money, and I found out by way of going through the email, because again, we shared most of the stuff. I had my my desktop, and he was signed in to his email via the desktop. And so, mind you, I'm just on the desktop one day. I don't remember what I was doing, but I seen he was signed in, so I'm just like, oh, I'll check it, right? And for the most part, it wasn't anything there. It was just a matter of looking at, emails with beats and songs and stuff. But then I come across the email that says like OnlyFans. And so I was like, okay, OnlyFans. We all know what that's about for the most part anyway. So I'm like, okay, OnlyFans, all right. So I click it, and for some reason you can like log in through the email, like it gives you access or something like that. And so that's what I did. I logged in via the email, and I got access to it. And I seen, again, this man was addicted to porn. So I seen a number of instances, or not say instances, I seen a number of subscriptions, there we go, that to me seem ridiculous. Why do you have almost 20 subscriptions on OnlyFans? Beats me. And then like, to be lying about money, to say you don't have this and you can't do this, and it's like, you're right, you can't, because all your money is over here. It's not funny, but it's funny because it's like, why are you lying about money when you know you got bills? Like, that's crazy to me. And then I find out about it. I don't cause a scene about it. I just politely write a letter, being head ass, and like, hey, let's not keep paying for these OnlyFans things. Let's stop. But in true nigga fashion, and it's not all niggas, but in true nigga fashions, guess what he said? Oh, you invaded my privacy. You're right, because you're lying about money. And so, again, this is not like a bashing situation, but this is like me being reflective and like, what did I learn from this? I'm like, niggas will lie about anything. That's what I fucking learned. You can sit there and ask them till you blue in the face, and it's like, I don't have it. And I think like that created, again, more resentment and just me sort of like, I don't know, having this stance now where it's like, I'll see you for you and some of the actions that you do that you think like aren't, how can I say it, that you think aren't gonna like show things, like you can act a certain way, but like the energy is what it is for me. Like I can feel that shit. Like I may not feel it exactly then, but I know because I was having dreams about this shit. And another thing that I'm learning is to listen to that intuition. When I get those dreams, act on it. When I get those feelings, act on it. Because I was having dreams about being embarrassed. Like people, I go in a room full of people and they laughing at me. I had dreams about this nigga cheating on me. I had the dreams, I had the feelings, and I just didn't know what to do with it. So one thing that I did take away from that relationship looking back was to trust my intuition, trust myself a little bit more. And I'm also learning that more so in therapy. Like as I go through a number of things, I don't even know how to work this, child. As I go through a number of things, it's how you supposed to test it first. Lord, I'm gonna test it on this box. Do I just squeeze? Oh shit! Yes, you just squeeze it. So I think what really made all of this come to like a head or whatever was when we were trying to organize a festival, like a music festival situation. It was me sort of like saying, I'm not going to help you. Not say I'm not going to help you, but I'm going to be limited in my role and how I show up because it's clear that I'm being taken for granted here. And so he did not like that, obviously, but it helped me learn that I needed to put a boundary in place so I could protect myself from overextending, which is something I know that I can do sometimes. But yeah, so I was genuinely like, yeah, I need to put some boundaries in place. I need to really figure out where I stand in all of this. I think again, like I'm in school and I'm going to therapy, at least trying to go to therapy consistently. Um, However, it was just like really a lot in that moment. And so I just needed to take a step back. I didn't need to be so hands on in the festival and trying to make the event happen. Like I didn't need to do that. Along the course of that, like me saying like, oh yeah, I'm not going to be as helpful anymore, you know, with certain things. I think that had an impact on him because again, like I was always there. Like I was always there whenever he needed me to be. And I didn't feel bad that I wasn't. Like I said, like I needed to create a boundary. I needed to give myself room because I wasn't being like I didn't feel special. I wasn't being treated a certain way. Like I was like, this is not what I want. And so I had to set a boundary in order to really understand what was happening. And so I did that. As you know, the festival happened and we're moving forward in 2023. I went on this work conference. Before I went on the work conference, I was talking to my therapist about what I needed and how I wasn't really getting it as far as like us living together, like responsibility wise. Like I still was taking care of majority of the bills and stuff, even though like I had to just wait and be patient all the time because it's like oh, just be patient, like I'll be doing better, and I think like that's where that sense of like struggle love came from for me, because it's like, why do I always gotta wait? So I talked to my therapist about it, and I was like, I'm thinking about, living separately from him, so that way we can learn the basics of responsibility, because it's like it just was not given, like it was not given, y'all. Like, how do we live together and I'm being treated this way and you acting like a child, kind of. And like, as I'm thinking back, yeah, I had like faults. Like, maybe I wasn't patient enough, maybe I wasn't as understanding. And it's just like, why would I keep being understanding to somebody that doesn't want to understand me? Because like, the things I've been saying for a while, so why do I need to keep repeating myself? Like, you're a kid, we're grown. Why do I need to do that? And so I didn't feel the need to be doing that all the time. Like, I don't need to be telling a grown man how to be an adult, like, you're older than me. And it's like not an excuse, but maybe it is. Like, you're older than me and you can't even, you act like you don't know how to pay bills, or you act like you're not supposed to pay bills. And I'm just like, okay, wow, that's interesting. He even told me himself that he felt like he was riding my coattail. And so to me, it's like, well, I'm doing better than you. You feel some type of way. You don't know how to handle that. That's what I interpreted that as. However, neither here nor there or whatever. I learned that I don't want somebody that's going to be intimidated by my ambition. They feel less than because I'm successful, or I may have a level of success that they haven't gotten to yet, or whatever the case may be. Like, I don't want to deal with that type of person, whatever. I would say like mid 2023, like August ish. Yeah, I go to this work conference, and I wanted to wait till I got back to talk to him about moving out and like living separate and stuff. However, it didn't work like that, because when we were talking on the phone and stuff, I was just catching him up on what was going on, and I said I wanted to talk to him when I got back, but he kind of forced it out of me. He kind of forced it out of me on the phone, and so he wanted me to pretty much tell him what I was thinking right then and there, even though I hadn't necessarily fully conceived it yet. Like, I wanted to wait till I got back, because I'm away right now. I'll have space to think, process, yada yada. Granted, I was wrong for saying, oh, I want to talk to you when I get back. Like, I should have just waited. Like, I shouldn't have said that. Like, I shouldn't have said it. I understand that now. Like, I even talked to my therapist about it. Like, I should not have said that. However, I was kind of forced to say it because he just was not patient. However, I can understand why he wasn't patient, because it's like, well, what do you want to talk to me about? Yada yada, right? I get it. And so as we were on the phone and stuff like that, I'm in another state for this work conference. So he forces it out of me, kinda, and we kind of go back and forth on it, obviously on the phone. However, like, I had my mind kind of set, because it's like, well, you're not being responsible with me. You need to learn how to be responsible on your own. Like, just common sense, I felt like. But it wasn't. After the work conference, when I come back, he's not trying to do the whole living separate thing, which is, obvious, because he would be losing out on a place to stay. He wouldn't have nowhere to go. Honestly, if you believe in God or a higher power, I believe God was trying to tell us that we needed to break up or separate or whatever the case may be. Like, me wanting to live separate was the right track, because there was a flood that happened like a couple weeks before we were supposed to move out. And I didn't kick him out, despite like that being the narrative. So why did you think you was gonna live for free or minimal effort? You kicked yourself out. I didn't kick you out. Like, you weren't doing, like, it's like, if you have a roommate that wasn't meeting the responsibilities, you ain't gonna keep that roommate, is you? Like, come on. We a flood happens, we have to move anyway because the flood fucking happens. He was not like really willing. He just like, no, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. Like that was his stance. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I think in that moment I learned that it's okay to change your mind because your needs are not being met. It's okay to not want to help people that don't want to help themselves. And that's something that I needed to learn, and I needed to take the initiative to learn because he wasn't going to take the initiative to learn it. And I'm like, in therapy, mind you, I even asked him multiple times to go to therapy himself. I even said, let's go together. He would always say no, or he would always give opinions on people in therapy, but for some reason he was so perfect and didn't need it. And again, just learning more and more about the type of person I didn't want to be with. I wouldn't want a person that tells me they don't need therapy, but it's obvious that they need fucking therapy. I think to round it all out, that was sort of like a signifier that the relationship needed to be over. However, I was still hanging on because I'm like, maybe we can just fix this. You know, he learned responsibility outside of this and we continue to work on our relationship, you know, as it's all happening. But that was not what happened. This is where he took it upon himself to pretty much end the relationship but still be like lying to me in the process. So he told me like, yeah, I want to work on this relationship, yeah, I want to get better, yeah, but he was lying because he was cheating on me the entire time. So from October 2023 to November 2020 or December 2023, he was cheating on me the entire time and lied about it. And he made it obvious that he was cheating on me, and I was just being so naive in a sense, like, no, like I said, I'm gonna trust you, you told me you were doing this, so I'm gonna trust what you say. And again, like that goes back to trusting that intuition and knowing that things will come to light. Things will be put out in the open that need to be put out in the open, you know, when it's time. That was one of the things that obviously like caused the relationship to end because I broke up with him on Christmas. But I think me taking a stance against a lot of different things was not something he was hoping I would do. Like, in essence, grow a backbone. It sounds bad, but it was just like so many different tears, so many different emotions, so many different things happening that I needed to learn to trust myself. And that was something that I take away from that relationship. I didn't trust myself enough to let go before moving to Atlanta. Like, I didn't trust myself enough to let go even 6 months after we got together, like seeing certain things, because in those moments I needed someone. I didn't know how to necessarily be alone. And out of all the people that I wanted to be with, it was with somebody that was not going to be the best option for me. It was not somebody that matched my level of ambition. Like, I knew this stuff, but I just thought like, well, I can help. It was just a lot happening that I was manipulated and used. And I didn't know. Like, I just didn't know. Like, I didn't know what I know now to talk about it and sit here and be fucking crying about it. Because it's like, I'm not crying because, oh, like, I'm still feeling hurt about it. I'm crying because I needed to learn to trust myself. And I didn't. And I felt bad because, or I feel bad, kind of, because I didn't trust myself in those moments when I knew I was right. Like, I knew I was right. I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew I wasn't a bad person, no matter how much he said I was, just for feeling bad that I was being cheated on. You know, like, he tried to make me feel like I was the bad person for calling him out. And I'm like, no, you're actively cheating on me. Like, actively, and you're lying about it. I needed that space to like learn to be there for me and feel when the energy is not right and to speak up on it. Because now it's like, yeah, I may cry, I may, you know, seem like I'm crazy, but no, like, I'm tapped in on another level that you niggas will never get to, because as soon as you want to play my face, I pick up on that shit. As soon as the energy shifts, I pick up on that shit. Granted, it could be me being sensitive and all that, but no, like, I'm not finna be played with no more. Don't take my fucking kindness for weakness, bitch. Because I did try my hand at dating this year, and I'll be honest, it was shit. Genuinely, I moved past that relationship and it was hard. Like, I grieved this entire year. Technically, I'm kind of still grieving, but I think I'm in the acceptance part now. I learned a number of things after the relationship was over about the girl he was cheating on me with, and how, again, like, that level of porn addiction is still there. That level of, like, codependency for him is still there, because how you in a relationship as soon as this one over? One thing I can say is I am no longer codependent on anybody, because I was there for a moment. That's why it took me so long to let go, and I'm not there anymore. So in essence, I'm better than these niggas. Fuck it, I don't give a damn, because I've grown so much that I can say that shit. Like, I'm not sitting here still being codependent and all that. I'm not sitting here thinking, oh well, I need somebody. Like, yeah, those mindsets are hard to get out of, but I'm getting out of them. Actively getting out of them. And you will not treat me any other way. Like, it took a while to get to this point. However, there are things that I'm still figuring out. One of my friends told me that life is just as much about figuring out what you don't like as well as what you do like. And so right now, I genuinely am, like, in that space of, well, what do I like? What do I enjoy? What are the type of people I want in my life? And the type of people I want in my life are not the ones that's going to make me feel crazy for speaking up about how I feel. Not the ones that's going to take my kindness for weakness. Not the ones that are going to treat me any type of way just because I'm a good person. So you think you can just fuck that up because you having a bad day or whatever. Like, granted, I have my issues, and that's why I started out by saying, like, you cannot be vulnerable with everybody, because as soon as you are, they're going to look at you like you fucking stupid instead of being there to support you like you want them to. And so it took me a while to learn this, and I really appreciate my therapist, because I know, like, there's been times where she repeated things to me and, like, told me, like, girl, like, you need to do this on numerous occasions. So it's like, I already know that I have my things I need to work on. However, it would be nice to feel supported in those things. You're not going to come into my life and treat me any type of way just because I'm dealing with mental health. Yeah, I'm dealing with mental health, but that don't mean you can disrespect me, bitch. Like, come on. And so this whole year, like all of 2024, I've just been sort of grieving and trying to figure out where I want to be. And where I want to be is chilling. Honestly, like, I could really give a fuck less. Going into 2025, and I filled up a new journal that I bought earlier this year, and I filled that bitch up. And at the end of it, y'all want to know what it say? I can read it for you. My last page says, no dating in 2025. I'm not finna play with y'all. I wrote it down on the last page of my journal. And once I start this new one, that's going to be the energy I bring to it. Because I know what I don't want, and I'm still figuring out what I want, but I know what I don't want. And that's a motherfucker that's going to play with me. I'm not doing that with you motherfuckers. And so, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this new episode. I did my best to get this together. I have to wait for the glue to dry. But yeah, I really hope that y'all enjoyed this episode. I really hope that there was some enlightenment in my journey and where I am. And I hope it wasn't too all over the place, but genuinely it was me trying to reflect. So it may just be all over the place. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it. And y'all can follow me on Instagram at G the Journalist. I hope y'all catch the next episode. Don't know what I'm going to talk about yet, but thank y'all for listening, watching. Don't forget to subscribe.